In 4.5 years at Arsenal, Mikel Arteta has a net spend of €600 million, the third most in the Premier League. However, I think it'd be naive to say that this is the sole reason as to why Arteta has managed to turn Arsenal around. In fact, it has been rather complex. Arteta's rise with Arsenal hasn't been the smoothest one.
This is not the Arsenal Football Club that I fell in love with and followed. It's pathetic.
So why is it that even in their darkest moments, his peers were offering the highest of praise?
Mikel knows everything. He's so good.
Despite their performances and table positions leaving a lot to be desired for. This is the story of how a man transformed a culture of division and defeatism into togetherness and triumph, and ultimately from a team of mid-table mediocrity into title contenders. In the conclusion of Emery's tenure, the club looked like a shell of its former self. The players weren't fighting for him anymore, and the team lacked an identity. When Arteta arrived, he realised the team were leaking far too many goals, with the side having kept a mere 1 clean sheet in their last 15 games. The solution was to adopt a passive approach to defending. They allowed opposition possession in medium danger zones while staying compact behind the ball, aiming to restrict their access to the high danger zones of the pitch.
I could feel that with certain players playing in certain position, the way I wanted to play, it wasn't going to work out. So I had to be more pragmatic.
This clear tactical approach saw the Gunners pick up important points against Manchester United and Chelsea, and even a dominant display against Newcastle. Perhaps most importantly, the players seemed motivated, and a smile was no longer a rarity at the Emirates. Surely nothing can impede Arsenal's winning run, right?
There is growing concern at this hour over a possible outbreak of a mystery virus.
The infection is a new type of coronavirus.
It's one which is highly contagious. There's no vaccine, humans don't have immunity, and the virus could mutate, so it's hard to control.
14 more people across Britain have died after testing positive for coronavirus.
From this evening, I must give the British people a very simple instruction. You must stay at home.
The Premier League, Football League and Women's Super League is suspended
until the 3rd of April. We are now being told.
After 3 months of shutdown, the Premier League will return as Manchester City take on Arsenal.
Arsenal's Project Restart commencing with a thrashing to Manchester City and a consecutive defeat to Brighton saw Arteta switch from a 4-2-3-1 to a 3-4-3. With players like Socrates, Mustafi and Kolasinac regularly forming a part of the Arsenal back line, Arteta had to find a way to have defensive stability whilst also allowing their attacking players to flourish. The 3-4-3 was key to this. It gave Arsenal an extra man in their defensive shape to aid the lack of quality individuals, thus improving their chances of keeping the ball away from the high danger zones. This change caused Arsenal to go from conceding 1.1 goals per game to just 0.8 under Arteta in this season. Everything was going well for Arteta. They were scoring more and conceding less, leading to an improved league form, but most importantly, they'd made a run in the FA Cup. A win against City was all that separated them from a final. However, Arsenal had not won any of their last 7 against the Manchester club. This time was different.
Pepe and his cross well for Aubameyang! Arsenal strike first at Wembley. Well, that's a brilliant pass and there's no flag on Aubameyang. Aubameyang for 2! He's done it! Arsenal 2, Manchester City 0.
Arsenal had beaten the Citizens, but now faced London rivals Chelsea in the final. Chelsea started well and struck first through Pulisic. Arsenal were in need of a hero.
Aubameyang in behind Azpilicueta, who hauls him down. Anthony Taylor says penalty. And it's the captain, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. And he makes no mistake. Here is Pepe. Now Aubameyang. It's still Aubameyang. It's absolutely brilliant.
2 goals from the captain secured an Arsenal win, and Arteta, a man who was just 7 months into the job, had guided Arsenal to their first silverware in 3 years. Arteta found a solution to the glaring lack of squad quality, and in doing so revived their dwindling season by taking them from 11th to 8th in the Premier League, and topped it off with an impressive run to silverware. Who would have thought that a newbie manager taking on one of the largest jobs in world football could go so smoothly?
It's going to the wire here at Anfield, unless Jota wraps it up.
Foden cuts in, saved by the goalkeeper, Sterling with the rebound.
Leicester could be in under, plays it across and they've scored, and it's that man, Jamie Vardy. Who else?
These defeats at the start of the season suggested there was still a gap between the Gunners and those fighting for the top spots. Arsenal managed an unlikely win at Old Trafford, however this went on to be their only victory in a run of 10 Premier League games. All of a sudden, Arsenal found themselves 15th in the table at Christmas, just 4 points above the relegation zone.
We've got to be ruthless now. He hasn't got the experience and he's out of his depth. Yeah, the players ain't good enough, but sometimes you need to change the manager.
But how did Arteta go from the highs of winning the FA Cup to the lows of being questioned by pundits, journalists and, worst of all, his own fan base? Arteta's main concern when he joined was fixing the glaring defensive issues. He gave the players a system to protect their goal before purchasing numerous defenders to improve quality, depth and balance. The trade-off was a lack of spending on attacking talent, with their only new forward being an ageing Willian on a free transfer. The slow nature of the team meant that they completed passes well, but they lacked penetration into the box. Some teams even realised that if they invited pressure from Arsenal, they'd struggle to turn that possession into goals and would be susceptible to being hit in transition. Something had to change. Unfortunately for Arteta, he was forced into this when Willian became ill before their match against Chelsea. Step up 20-year-old Emile Smith-Rowe. Arteta showed further faith in his youth by deploying 19-year-olds Bukayo Saka and Gabriel Martinelli alongside him, being the trio's third time playing together. The young guns brought intensity, pace and movement which allowed Arteta to stretch Chelsea and open up gaps for them to exploit. An Arsenal win, and Arteta remained in the job. This game was a turning point for Arsenal. On the micro scale, it provided them with a much needed 3 points and a boost to morale, but on the macro scale, it proved to the club that they could have faith in their youth, and perhaps bringing in more young talent with a point to prove could provide the team with the hunger that the team so desperately needed.
The first time I actually heard about Martin Odegaard, I think that was like 5 or 6 years ago. He was a YouTube sensation and was the second coming of Messi, almost. Everyone knew that he got the potential to become one of the next big things.
Martin, welcome to Arsenal. How does it feel to have joined the club?
Thank you very much. Feels great.
Arsenal's new quartet of youth spurred them on throughout the rest of the season. They amassed 47 points over the remainder, placing them third in the table over this period. The season, of course, does not start in January, but it was enough to drag the once stalled team up to 8th at the end of the season. Arsenal had discovered a new formula for success, with a group of players bought for a combined £8 million at the forefront of this. The question now being, how do Arsenal kick on from here? Inspired by the successes of their youth in the previous season, Arsenal targeted players aged 23 and under in the transfer window. The Arsenal hierarchy knew that they wouldn't be able to compete for trophies this season, so the aim was to build a team of young and talented individuals that could develop together with a chance of competing in the future. The new additions helped Arsenal to an improved start to the season, finding themselves in 6th place after 16 games. However, unbeknownst to Arsenal fans, something else was brewing behind the scenes.
That's what I have, everything documented. With the dates, the time, the conversation, how it happened, why it happened.
He wasn't involved in their win over Southampton. He arrived back from France late.
If one day is needed,
you got it.
Everyone looked at themselves because Mikel did that to the captain of the team, El Neni told The Independent. We don't allow big egos. This is the dressing room we have now.
The breaking news is that following his latest disciplinary breach last week, Arsenal's Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang will no longer be our captain, the club say.
Arteta knew that stripping their star player of the captaincy and removing him from the first 11 had the potential to hurt the team in the short term. But in order to have long-term success, he needed to promote a ferocious and hard-working mentality within the squad.
Well, with Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang banished for the foreseeable future by Mikel Arteta, Alex Lacazette leads Arsenal again.
Arsenal beat a strong West Ham side comfortably, and the change in performance levels would not end there. They won 10 of 13, playing an attractive, attacking brand of football, with the 2 defeats coming against Manchester City and Liverpool respectively. And despite losing, these were the first times that Arsenal were able to be competitive against the respective clubs.
They were better, so Arsenal was better today.
Arsenal were perhaps lacking enough winners in their side to get them over the line, but they were showing a glimpse of where Arteta was taking Arsenal. The Gunners went into the international break in 4th place, 3 points and a game in hand against Tottenham. But, of course, like every time before, they couldn't make it easy for themselves. Kieran Tierney and Thomas Partey both received season-ending injuries, which added to the pre-existing Tomiyasu injury, meant that Arsenal were now missing 3 players from their defensive unit, who were all pivotal to giving Arsenal the 5th best defensive record in the league. These players were sorely missed. Tavares was exploited defensively due to his lack of awareness, and Lokonga was unable to offer the same control in midfield as Partey. The result of this...
And here he goes again and he scores! Crystal Palace extend their advantage further!
Caicedo chips it back. Wepo! Oh, it's nestled into the corner.
Back it comes and Saints have the lead. And Jan Bednarik has smashed it in.
I'm very worried. I'm, you'd have to say now, unfortunately, we're no longer the favourites to get the top 4.
Arteta had previously relied on youth to freshen up the squad, and with striker Alex Lacazette having only scored 4 goals all season, could 22-year-old Eddie Nketiah provide the much-needed spark.
My biggest frustration is I can't remember a time I've ever had 3 games in a row.
Now the chase is on between Christensen and Nketiah. It's a short ball by Christensen. Nketiah's in here for Arsenal! And he takes full advantage! Nketiah with the turn. Oh, he's got the ball back. Oh, and he almost gets it a 3rd time! And he does strike it!
Nketiah's relentless running and energy was imperative to Arsenal's win, and helped them to further victories against Manchester United, West Ham and Leeds.
Oh, Nketiah again! He is on fire!
4 wins in a row, and Arsenal were now sitting in 4th place, 4 points above Tottenham, and with just 3 games left. Up next, Tottenham.
Son with the corner. Bentancur Kane! He's done it again! Arsenal have been blown away!
It was still in Arsenal's hands, but unfortunately, the following game against Newcastle would not be any easier.
Saint-Maximin with one down the line. They're away Newcastle. Joe Wellington, Callum Wilson! Brilliant goal! Brilliant Newcastle goal!
Tottenham winning their final game against Norwich meant that Arsenal had failed to qualify for the Champions League for the 6th season in a row. Fans were of course left disappointed, however Arteta remained optimistic.
When I look back at the season, where we were, compare ourselves with other teams and what they had and what we did, it gave me a lot of encouragement to believe that if we did well in the transfer window, the following season was going to be even better.
Big news from Arsenal in the last half an hour. They have confirmed the signing of Gabriel Jesus from Manchester City.
The breaking news is for Arsenal. Yes, they have finally announced Alexander Zinchenko.
In play is Jesus, and there he is again.
Excellent play from Martinelli. Oh, Bukayo Saka! His 2nd in a season.
It's with Saka now. Martinelli!
Thomas Partey. It gets better and better for Arsenal.
Technical quality of Zinchenko and Jesus allowed Arsenal to retain the ball a lot more easily, giving them far more control across the pitch. Furthermore, the calmness that Saliba brought to the defence immensely improved the amount of goals that Arsenal were conceding. The result of all this?
We have everything to achieve the big things, and I started to speak in the dressing room like, guys, we need to think about the title.
14 games in, and Arsenal were entering the World Cup break top of the table, with a 5-point gap on new rivals, Manchester City.
Arsenal have been dealt a serious blow to their title hopes after their striker Gabriel Jesus has had knee surgery and could be facing months on the sidelines.
Huge blow with Gabriel Jesus and what happened in the World Cup with his injury, and we're going to miss him for a period of time, but the season has challenges.
Nketiah ready for it? I'm not so sure.
Arsenal win the Premier League and Eddie Nketiah started for them up top for 3 months. That's just not happening.
Nketiah entered the front line almost seamlessly, scoring crucial goals to help retain Arsenal's 5-point gap at the top of the table. And with a game against Manchester City looming, it was imperative that Arsenal didn't slip up.
McNeil delivers. Ramsdale stays on his line, and Everton net through James Tarkowski.
Look out again. Brentford level.
De Bruyne cross the face of the goal, and Erling Haaland. Arsenal 1, City 3. There's daylight, and the top of the table beckons.
Arsenal have got a problem because William Saliba is not going to be able to continue.
An injury to Arsenal's star defender was the last thing that Arteta needed.
Listen, I can say this now. Saliba's a massive, massive loss.
But how would this affect results?
Now finds the pass, and the header is by Roberto Firmino, and Liverpool have got their equaliser. Arsenal caught short, Jarrod Bowen.
Ward-Prowse with the ball in, and a chance here. It's a goal for Caleta. Arsenal falling apart.
Now, you know what I mean, the advantage is back with Man City. We have to go to Man City and win.
Manchester City come into this game on their best run of league form all season. Like a racehorse on the rails, Pep Guardiola is hoping that his team is carefully timing their sprint to the finish line.
De Bruyne is advancing, and De Bruyne keeps on going and hits it into the back of the net. What a sensational goal! De Bruyne floats it in, and there's an unmarked header. He's onside, it's a goal, it's 2-0. Haaland towards De Bruyne now in the penalty area, and that is the end of the night for Arsenal. Haaland, 4-1.
Defeat at the Etihad meant that the only thing that could revive Arsenal's title hopes was a slip up from the Blues, which unfortunately didn't come. Arsenal fell short, notably losing both games against Manchester City, meaning they needed level-raising players to be able to compete.
Breaking news from just a few moments ago, Arsenal have signed Jurrien Timber from Ajax.
Arsenal have completed the signing of David Raya.
Arsenal have also announced the signing of Kai Havertz.
He has been agreed for Declan Rice.
Martinelli! Oh yes! Gabriel Martinelli is back with a bang! Leandro Trossard has punctured Alisson!
Mikel Arteta says his side are ready to win this title.
Certainly right now they have the best defence in the Premier League. They've conceded the fewest goals.
The way we are playing right now is outstanding.
They're a winning machine at the moment.
I think Arsenal have a great chance of winning the title.
We are capable of winning this league, and we've got to believe that we can do it.
His time will come. I'm hoping it's this season. I'm thinking it is this season.
For Arsenal to be there right now shows they've got a great chance of winning the title.
And Watkins has started a run, and he's holding off Smith Rowe. Ollie Watkins! That is delicious!
Similar to the previous season, Arsenal now needed Manchester City to drop points in one of their remaining games, which in typical City fashion, didn't happen. In the end, Arsenal fell short. Perhaps they didn't quite have the depth of squad that Manchester City possessed. But with their points deficit on the league leaders decreasing season on season, Arsenal are only going in one direction. I'm going to title this video something along the lines of how Arteta completed his Arsenal revolution. But in all honesty, it feels as if he's only just getting started, and that is very exciting. If you enjoyed this video, then please help the channel out by subscribing. And remember,